Um, Nigel, a pretty obvious first question, but how are you feeling?
I'm alive, I'm here, so that's enough for the time being. I'm okay, thanks.
And for any manager to miss time on the training ground or a match, it's not something you take lightly, is it? So that tells me you must have been in a pretty bad place.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's all COVID related, unfortunately, but I'm okay. I'm not going to. It may not please everybody, but I'm not going to drop dead soon. Let's put it like that. I've been told, I'm okay. I'm back at work, and I'm glad I'm back in as well. I think it's important at the moment to be visible. With our form not being great, the situation that we're in, I think it's important for me to be fronting it up, and I'm very happy to do that.
Yeah, and I guess any illness, they all have their sort of idiosyncrasies, but the fact that this is new, nobody really knows how long it affects different people, and it affects different people differently, obviously. That must be frustrating for you almost.
Yes, it is, as it will be for countless people who are suffering in a either similar way or a different way. That's one of the unknowns about it, but it's what it is. I can't do much about that. I can just be as I need to be fit and well to do the job like anybody else needs to be. So it's important that my health is paramount importance to myself and my family, of course.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I guess football management, unlike others, the stresses are a little bit more, but just the physical exertion out on the pitch sometimes and being around and constantly being outside, you've got to be in a pretty good shape to be able to do the job normally anyway.
It helps if you're fit, for sure. I think it's something that even I take for granted sometimes, that the physical fitness side of being able to do a job is of course it certainly helps if you're in a good physical shape, or it means that you can do your job better. But I'm here, and that's the main thing, I suppose, from my own perspective.
And we quite often ask players when they come back from sort of injuries and stuff, what percentage they are in terms of back to their full fitness. Where do you feel on that sort of scale for you?
I couldn't tell you, because I just know that I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I could do the job. I've also had during my managerial career, some of my greatest successes have been when I've not been at my best physically. So, times at Leicester, we got promotion, I'd got health issues and staying up in the Premier League. So I don't think it's really, it's not about judging a percentage of fitness. I know myself that I'm well enough to work, and that's and I've had assurances as well. I think that's the main thing from my own perspective, is that I feel able to work because of the investigations that I've had, and the answers that I've got have given me the confidence to be able to do the job. So as far as I'm concerned, it's relatively straightforward. Yeah.
Well, it's
so
great
I'm ready to get my head back on the block, so to speak.
Yeah, well, and that's the joy of being a football manager,
isn't
it?
Exactly. Yeah.
I would imagine psychologically just being out there this morning with the team, that's got to help. That's got to put a bit of a smile on your face.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's we're going through a bit of a difficult period at the moment, and I think that's something which is, if you're involved in a role where there is leadership involved in that, I think it can be difficult when you're unable to at least be present. That's one of the difficulties, but we have very good staff here, and staff who I trust implicitly. So even in my absence, I know that the quality of the work done with the players is very, very good. We, like I say, good staff, but I think now the players need to shoulder responsibility too. So I think they have to show how much they care as well. So it's I think that there are spells in seasons where people ask questions of commitment, and I think those types of questions are particularly difficult types of questions to answer. So all I would say is that I expect the players to make sure that they answer our critics with the right type of performance. But we need to start winning games. It's quite straightforward.
Yeah. So were those conversations one that either you or your staff have had with players in terms of commitment and what
the players know? The players know exactly where they stand with me. It's as simple as that.
Okay. So you'll have watched, I'm sure, the Coventry game. What did you make of that? Because at the time, it seemed it was a relatively inexperienced midfield. Was that a concern, given that you're missing?
Well, we are missing experience at the moment, and we do have. That's when you miss key players, and people like Andy King and Matty James are both very good players, but are very important for us as well in terms of their influence, not just on the game but on other players. So we have, there's a lot of expectation on Hanno Masengo, and he is, as a number of our players are, a bit out of touch at the moment, and he knows that, and he's a really honest lad. We do have an inexperienced midfield. When you take Andy King, Matty James, Joe Williams out of the equation, but Joe Williams will be available for this game, which is good. George Tanner will be missing for 2 or 3 weeks now with a minor hamstring injury he's picked up. But again, he's another player there's a lot of expectation on him, and he's made the transition from the second division to the championship pretty well, actually. So interesting selection issues for this weekend. Okay. But when you have players missing who you'd rather be available, it solves different, or it rather poses different problems, but we'll overcome it.
So if you were going to look for what are the keys that you want to see more of from your team?
Well, we've got to score more goals at home. It's as simple as that. I mean, look, recently as well, our ability we've not kept anywhere near enough clean sheets. But when you score 2 goals away from home and end up losing, that shows you, we conceded 3 goals against 10 men. Now that's a concern, obviously. We've got to get back to being effective as a team in and out of possession, and at the moment that's not been the case for long enough periods during games, and that is something that we will continue to work at. Inexperience can be one thing, but it can be also application, and even I have to admit that at times our application has not been what I would expect it to be. And there will be changes, I can tell you that now. So I talked in the summer talked pretty recently about not really wanting to do too much, but I may have to amend that, because certain individuals aren't on side, let's put it like that. And I will do everything I can to get rid of them.
So if that's looking at January, would experience be one of the key recruitment aspects you're looking to add?
It really did. I think it's too early for me to be able to give you an absolute answer on that. I think we do need to if possible, to make some changes. But what I don't want to do, though, is to operate and the club have to spend money in a window which is historically a difficult window to operate in.
Yeah. Nigel, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Great to see you back.
Thank you.
Hello, Nigel. Welcome back.
I don't. Sorry, who am I talking to now?
Alistair. Sorry, it's Alistair. From,
How you doing, Alistair? You okay?
Yeah, good, thank you. Can I just check, was today your first day back?
Yeah.
Yes. And did you...
Is my first day. It's not over yet.
Can I just check, how much sort of communication did you have with sort of coaches and players during your absence?
Players, no. I think what you need in a time like this is not for mixed messages. And so Curtis, Dave and all the rest of the staff are very competent, and so they, although I kept in contact with members of staff, it's not about interfering too much, because I think managing remotely in a footballing sense is not something. It's not a working from home type scenario that is possible with other jobs. That is not. It's not something that is. I don't think is doable. So I needed time to make sure my health is okay, and I've done that, and I had support from my colleagues who did the job in my absence.
Apologies if I misunderstood, but it sounded like doctors had been able to explain to you a little bit more about some of the symptoms, and do you feel you've got, therefore, a bit more information as to how to manage it going forward if you need to do that?
I'm fit to work, and that's really the most important thing. It's as I've already explained, it's COVID related. The details are, I don't feel the necessity to disclose the details, but suffice to say that the information that I've got and the number of health checks that I've had, I'm confident that I'm well enough to work now. So that's the most important thing for me.
I'm sure the desire to come back as soon as possible was always there, because
the
position was, did you ever feel that internal pressure to get back as soon as possible?
Yes. Yeah, I think that goes with the type of role that managing football management presents. It's and the type of person that I am. Yeah, I take the responsibility of my role very, very seriously, and I think if I'm asking everybody to be committed, it's very important that I not only am committed, but am as visible as possible. And so taking time off is not easy, and because of the nature of it being a COVID related issue, there isn't the comprehensive understanding even in the medical profession in terms of what that represents. So there's a bit of I wouldn't say guesswork, but of course it's discovery as the situation develops, and clearly it's been a pandemic of a scale which is I think even has surprised the medical profession. So I'm not. This is not singular. There are many thousands of people, and indeed millions of people worldwide who are suffering with the effects of COVID, whether it be in the initial stages or whether it be in the latter stages.
And if you think back to when you were a player, how important is it to have that visible, constant message from one person coming week in, sort of week out, do you think, as a player?
I can't remember what I would have thought as a player. I'm a different person now. It's a long time ago. So I think it is I just think leadership positions are, it's important to have, I think there needs to be a clarity of message, there needs to be visibility as well. I firmly believe that, and that's why I'm here.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Nigel, it's Sophie here.
Hi Sophie.
As well.
How are you?
Just a quick, good, thank you. Just a quick question from me. I wanted to ask about how, again at the Coventry match, the team conceded a goal right there in the last minute, which has happened a number of times this season. I mean, do you have an explanation for...
Sophie, it's happened too often. It's a trait which we've unfortunately has happened far too often this season, and because of that we are in danger of losing the support of our own fan base. Quite frankly, this season we've been very wasteful at times in games, and I think for our away supporters who travel in huge numbers every time that we play, they lost some patience with us because of it, and I think it's, as I pointed out earlier, the players need to show the response as well. They need to. I always shoulder the responsibility because I'm the manager of the football team, but the players on the pitch also need to not only understand that when they're out representing the football club on a match day, that they have that responsibility too. And I expect them, I know the fans will expect us to do better in those situations. So unfortunately at the moment the criticism that comes our way is justified, and we have to be able to deal with, and I do as the manager have to be able to deal with the criticism that comes our way, and work to rectify it. But I'm not somebody who makes excuses. I don't intend to do it now, but it is a rather difficult wobble that we're experiencing. But I do also know exactly where we are in how we're trying to transform the squad and rebuild it. And I'm also a realist. I know that I never expected it to be an easy transition. It's proving to be more difficult just because of the circumstances that we've thrown away points in games. So we have to do something about it.
Do you have much of an explanation for why that is? Why those points, kind of those goals are going in at the end? Is that a lack of concentration, that kind of lack of experience maybe you mentioned earlier?
Combination of all the above, yeah, and because it's become a irritating habit of ours. So we've not worked hard enough to we started the season pretty well in terms of not allowing crosses into the box, not conceding stupid set plays, and we're just basically not working hard enough at the basics. So, all the add-ons of not creating enough at home and not scoring enough at home. Yeah, I fully accept that is the case, but we have been architects of our own downfall at times in games. The concession of not just 1 point but 3 points against Nottingham Forest was the worst situation, if I'm totally honest, because Nottingham Forest weren't in that game, and yet we ended up losing the game 2-1. So it showed a mental frailty that some of our players unfortunately have allowed the pressure to affect them too much individually. The players now have to start shouldering some responsibility for performance, and of course I will always accept total responsibility for it, but I think it's time that the players started showing up on match days a bit more. And I've told them that. Don't worry about that, I've told them. So the players are fully aware of what I think.
Thanks, Nigel.
My pleasure.
Hi Nigel, it's James from
Hey James,
Live.
how are you, lad?
Yeah, great. I'm good. It's great to see you back.
Cheers, thanks.
With the kind
I can't see you, James.
the
I'm afraid.
mental.
So.
That's okay. It's probably for the best. With the mental side of defending, is that something that can be worked on in training?
Yeah, of course it is.
Because it almost seems you're alluding to there's a cycle that needs to be broken in terms of a psychological cycle.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you consider the home form, for instance, you know, the run of games that we were unable to win at home, and you would have, although Gregor obviously was covering the games last season and for some of this year. I mean, all the performances didn't warrant us not winning games. I mean, we played okay in quite a few of those games that we ended up losing, and I think it becomes once behaviours become a habit, and if they're bad habits, sometimes it's about training behaviours as much as anything. What we've currently experiencing with, and if you consider the number of points that we've lost in the last 5 minutes of a game, it's nothing to do with fitness, physical fitness. It's to do with a collective desire as much as anything to either, if we're in a losing position, to go on and get something out of the game. But unfortunately, we've not shown the ability to close out games, and that's it's become a pretty nasty habit of ours that we can't do that. So so that it's become a problem for us throughout the season so far, and yes, it is trainable to get out of it. But like I've already alluded to, it's now time for the players to show more responsibility themselves.
Just to pick up on something you said, I think was one of Ali's questions.
Yeah.
You talked about players who aren't on board.
Yeah, they'll go. They'll go. I'll get rid of them.
Have you made decisions on players then?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So there's players. So there's players who either have been involved or haven't been involved, who you've made decisions on with relevance to potentially January. Yeah,
but hey, look, we still might need them, and they're professional footballers. So because we don't have the biggest squad, I may still need to use them, but but that's not enough of a reason to pander to their needs, because I'm not pandering to anybody's needs.
What sort of needs are that? What do you mean by that, if you don't mind me asking?
Players who possibly don't want to be here. Well, I'll make sure that they're not here. I'll get rid of them. And it's not a veiled threat. It is, that's what will happen. Because we had too big a squad last year. We had a big clear out in the summer. Brought some new players in who have, generally speaking, done pretty well. But we need to effect a change, and I will do it by removing players or not playing them if I can't get rid of them. I'll get rid of them.
Okay. Just finally, because we've kept you quite a while, could I just go through the sort of the injured, or potentially injured? You mentioned Joe. I see Nathan Baker's all okay.
He's fine. It's really good to have the gentle giant back in. Yeah, he trained brilliantly this morning as well. Good to have him back in. Yeah, very good.
In that area of the field, area of the field, Rob Atkinson obviously missed Coventry with a calf. How's he doing?
Yeah, he's training. George will be missing. Antoine's back in and trained very well.
Yeah.
Tommy Conway's back training, so they're players that are available, and that's great for us. They're both. Antoine looks really good, as does Tommy. So they come back in with a freshness which is really good for us. So good to have them back.
Absolutely. A couple more. Obviously, you mentioned him already, Matty James, who is captain out of Coventry. How's he done over the last 2 weeks?
Matty and Andy won't be available for this game, unfortunately.
Okay.
But as I've said, Joe will be, which is good for us. And as you know, Joe's had a difficult sort of year and a bit, so year and a half maybe, with dealing with an injury which took a long time to get over, and then he's had a couple of setbacks since he recovered from his initial injury. Sometimes through lack of patience from himself, which he readily admits, but I do also think that his type of infectious enthusiasm is something that we need at the moment. So I'm really pleased that he's available.
Last one. Thomas came back early from international duty.
Yeah.
How's
Tom's fine.
He doing?
Yeah, he's fine. And he's trained today, and he's a. I think whatever the circumstances, on a personal level for Tom, you know what you're going to get 100% every time he plays, and that is a committed performance. So I think him coming back early is a benefit to us, and hopefully to him too. He's had a little bit of a procedure on one of his toes. He had something sort of taken out of his toe, but he's all right. He's fine. He'll be himself at the weekend.
Good stuff. All right, that's lovely, Nigel. Thanks
Cheers.
for your time. See you.
Thank you very much.